let's talk about it. So he is who is just using my energy to gain access to all these things, and y'all keep falling for it. But it's really me. And let's see, we used to go to school together. Just in high school, like he was never in my class, but same grade. We grew up like that together. I was in cheerleading. I was playing sports. He was doing something else. I don't know what. And yeah, the years that have gone by since 2022 or since 2002, which is when we graduated, to now, or like a few years back, like around 2020. I think I saw him at Bastion and I was like, "Hey man, what's up?" Because I was glad to see someone, of the same grade level that you grew up with, and now you see them. And then he was just like, "Hey," and he was just staring at me. And then I was like, "Okay, bye," And then so I left. And I think that's when he started clocking in on me and researching what I'm doing about the Positive Community Project. Because that's around the time it really started. And so around that time, I was trying to start the Positive Community Project, doing positive things all over the community. You would see me either decorating the bridge or picking up trash. I was trying to get more people involved. I would honestly drive around, try to pick up my friends to help me. But after a while, I was like, okay, I don't need to do that. And I would try to gain money. Any money that I got went to GoFundMe.com, the GoFundMe account. And if you look on there, you'll see like a lot of my donations. And the big part of it, the first big one was from me. I believe my sister donated, and Karina, which is the only part of my family that donated. My mom did, but I did it for her. But otherwise, nobody else did. Not even my cousins, my aunties, or nothing. The one white lady that married into our family was the only one that donated from our family. By the time I met him, I think I was putting up the display for Christmas, and I had a little sign out that said, "Hey, feel free to stop if you want to help me." But I think I was I'll put it for free though, because whenever I gained money, whenever anyone helped me, I would pay them. Show you a receipt right now. See, I would take money out from the account, because the money from GoFundMe would go to my savings account. I would take it out of my savings account and pay these people who helped me.
Look, in case y'all wondering where does the money go? Where does the money go? Right there's all the receipts for all the stuff I buy and use the thingy for. It has to do with the Positive Community Project, like Portland cement. That was cement that used to put the poles in the ground around making a haunted walk. Players of plaster. That one is for making the Valentine hands. We used to try to make the thing a wheelbarrow.
Like, I need to build up this money, and people just need to volunteer at this point while I build that money. So I put out a sign that's like, "Hey, come stop by and help me if you want." So one time he did stop by, and it was Christmas. Anyway, so we talked while we were putting up the thingy. He told me his story, his truth, his situation, which was he got out of prison because he was caught for having pounds of crystal meth or something he was trying to bring back to Chinle. And so I was like, cuz? And then I was like, which is my cousin. Or he knew her to be a dealer chick from back in the day. He was probably trying to take over her thing. But like, she's not anymore. But she's wise, and I go to her a lot. I was like, yeah. And then she started assuming things. "Are you always this peppy?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm a cheerleader. If you think about it, in high school, I was a cheerleader. If you look up the yearbook, you're most spirited. You'll probably see my face. Anyway. And the truth is, I am a crystal meth addict right now. And that I know this, and I think my whole town knows this as well, which is why I was starting this. I was trying to produce a place where we won't do drugs and do something else that's positive for the community. That's what this whole thing is based off of. In order for this healing to take place and for it to fall away naturally. And that's what I'm doing. And me following my dream so far has made it that way. It has been following naturally. And I do mean naturally as in like, I've saved up money to go get an apartment. I've pulled away from people just getting high every day to me figuring out my own shit, and have been willing to step forward, give me the courage to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And slowly I am falling out of that life. And I think that this would help the whole town. That's what I aimed for. And let's see, okay. Now, while we were doing that, his grandma was waiting in the car. And then I was like, "Oh, lady, I'm so sorry you're out here waiting. I didn't know that." And then she was like, "No, thank you." But she seemed like she didn't really speak English. But she was like, she pieced together "thank you." And she was pretty much saying, "Thank you for what you do in the community." And here him coming back being all jealous and stuff like that. I didn't realize it then, but soon that would be a red flag. His grandma thanked me. Okay, then the next time he appeared, I'll show you the clip. Next you'll hear me say a statement of like, yeah, of how much I believe in people shining, no matter what their vices are. And I think if I die today, I'd be allowed into heaven. Still like, and that's kind of proof of drug addicts go through shaming that they had to get over in order to shine again. But just let us shine. Or while you're going to work, let us help the community shine. Yeah, guess which one he is.
Halftime. It was Eminem. Who else was it? Eminem, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Mary J. Blige.
Oh, shoot.
The group of people, actually. There's a few people on there.
The last Super Bowl I remember was The Weeknd.
Yeah, I didn't really like that one.
Really? I thought it was cool. You tell he was high as fuck. But he was like, yes, I did it. So I was like, you go, man. He's the one that's standing there not actually helping do anything and is not even getting on the ground because he feels so high above everybody. And I don't think he actually helped, but the rest of them are helping. That's what the Positive Community Project does. Anyway, afterwards, he appeared to me and I'm waving bye to everybody. He said, I do murals. And I was like, that's cool. And then he's like, my grandma died. And I was like, oh, wow. I just met that lady. But he was like, before she died, she said, help her out, son. And I was like, really? I was in the last words before she died. I don't know about that. But anyway, he said, he's like, I'm good at murals. And I was like, okay, I'll let you know, dude. I'll let you know as soon as I have enough money to pay you. Because that's what the Positive Community Project does. It pays people. So I was like, I don't have enough money to pay you right now. So thank you for letting me know that. I'll let you know when I can. Then he was like, no, I'll do it for free. And I'm like, okay, well, thank you for that. But I'll let you know when I'll be able to buy the supplies. And then he was like, no, I have supplies. The supplies are donated. And I was like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I'll get a deal with with Snow Shack, and I'll show you how to do that, and I'll help you with the website and getting a script because I used to be in advertising, and maybe we can partner on this. And I was like, huh. And at that moment, it was crazy because I was actually praying for help because I was tired of like trying to go run around and go get friends to help me. And also all my videos had just me in it, and it still does. And I wish there was somebody that at least recording me or, just a partner in it. For a while, Ochi was really helping me out. Okay, you're on camera. Hey. Hey, yeah. I'm here too. Yes, we work in the rain. Because independence is worth it. Look at our firecrackers. Happy 4th of July. Donate, alright? Donate. Yay. PCP Community Project. I swear to press these up. It won't hear me. It won't press stop. Because it's all wet.
Siri, stop.
Seriously. But he left. But anyway, he's like, I'll do it for free, and I was like, no supplies. I've donated. So okay, well we'll have to say, see what goes up. And I was like, do I have a say on what goes up? And he's like, yes. No, that's a lie. And so like we had a video meeting, and then he was like, okay. He's like, had a video meeting of when to meet. We're gonna meet at Burger King beforehand. Then we'll go to the meeting. And so I was all nervous about it, and he seemed like he knew what he was doing. But anyway, so we met at Burger King. We met each other, scheduled a meeting at BK. And then over at BK, he was like, I think we should. I was like, here, I have this idea, and hopefully I have a picture of that idea because that idea was cool. And the PCP is about like, something that if you look at it once, it could change your life, because it's spirit that's speaking to you, and creativity and adding positive vibes and stuff. And what I was going to put up there is also with it, it's just like, remember the long line of warriors that you come from. So stay strong or something like that, something to that effect. And so he presented his idea, and it's so funny. Like, it was a blank piece of paper, and he was showing his skills of how he could draw. And that was cool, the way he did that. But he started drawing it, and I was like, oh my God, don't even tell me. I was like, oh my God, don't even tell me. I bet you that's a lady that's weaving a rug. I bet you that's a little kid that's holding a sheep. And I bet you there's something in. And then don't even tell me. I bet you want to put on the top of it, keep traditions alive. And then he was like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that's not really what we do. That seems as plain as anything else on here. It will blend right in. It doesn't really make an impact. And then I was like, can't we do this instead? And I'll show you the picture. And then he's like, let's just do this for now. And then I was like, okay. And then he offered me to make suggestions, knowing he wouldn't. His stupid plain Jane idea. So I accidentally put that in check by pre-guessing exactly what he was meaning to draw, along with exact words, which proved my point. That's not what the PCP does. It changes lives with one glance. And then I was like, all right, so if you want to be a partner, how much goes to the PCP with this deal? And then he's like, how dare you? How dare you? You don't get any money. We exchange an energy. How dare you? Making me feel all greedy. And I was like, what? I don't know what the hell this is about. What do you mean there's no money? Like, don't we get money? Like, I thought that maybe we do the mural, since that dude's going to be sponsoring us or whatever, that he would give us money or donate or something. We're just going to be this snow shack. Anyway, here's the deal that we discussed here. He said, no. He's like, we put up this snow shack mural. We're just going to advertise their snacks, feature an artist, and show support for the PCP. That's what Snow Shack would have gotten, which shows that they care about the community. He would have gotten to be able to be an artist and gain relevance with PCP to show that he cares or whatever. But he uses my platform rather than his background under the PCP name, which is fine. But I finally remember why I was hesitating right there. And I was hesitating because I'm not paying him since he's doing this voluntarily. So it's like I can't really tell him to do. That's why I would be like, put this mural up. I don't care about your opinion, or like, you need to put this one up. If I was paying him, like the way the program goes, I would have been able to have more say. And I would have been able to have more control over what he can do and what he can't do. That's why I was hesitating. I was trying to remember why. But in this case, he was just volunteering and I wasn't paying him. So I had no say over him. And don't even take that whole over him. What do you mean over him? Whatever. Because that is a chance. I want to give people a chance to display their thing. And underneath the platform, that'd be fine. But however, anyway, let me see. So for me, the PCP favor, it gets a mural out there. But we were responsible for a whole town cleanup in one day event. The reason why I'm showing the pictures of the sphere and stuff was because that was my gimmick with the idea of like, you'll pick up a trash bag, go pick up trash, and then come back and take a picture with the world. And here it was super freaking windy that day, like crazy, and it just got messed up. And it's just like, in exchange for we doing a big day event, they supported the PCP and we clean up Chinle in one day. And I was like, I have to clean up Chinle in one day? Shit. You get the video thingy, these guys get their advertising, and then I have to clean up Chinle in one day. And then there's no money exchange. What? But anyway, they're like, yeah. Then here we. Now I'm not sure if Witchcraft can do this, but it was really windy, and it could have been made windy by him. Which would also show his awfulness, because on a day where it comes to picking up trash for the world, he'd rather just make it windy and have me be unsuccessful, rather than seeing the point and having Earth have trash picked up. He really just is a greedy, no good son of a who's not really doing anything for anything but himself. Because right after that, we went to the meeting, and he presented it to the owner guy, and did the whole thing of starting with a blank paper and drew everything. And the guy wanted to talk to me, but he kept on chiming in, but he kept the focus on him, as I did too. Because I was pointing like, ain't he great? Ain't he great? Yeah, look at that. Because I was impressed, and then that dude was like, oh. And it's funny, the dude was like, so what do you do? And I was just like, yeah, I add positive thingy. And it's funny, I made a joke of just like, if you want to get a hold of me, write a message on the bridge. Because that's what I did. And he just like laughed, and I thought it was funny. But he kept on interjecting himself. Now, at that point, I was so excited about getting the deal. Let's see. It said, the stuff was different though than in a pre-meeting moment ago. Now involving money for his efforts, if liked. He said, I had to smile through this change though while it was going on, and we left the meeting. Yeah, but we yes, and I was excited. I forgot to talk about the money. I was genuinely proud of him though, and the money deal was supposed to be like, so if they liked the mural that he did, that they would reimburse him for the tools, or for the materials. He said he's like, I'll put up my item on my list. I'll give it to you, and you can reimburse me. You can donate that to the Positive Community Project, and the Positive Community Project can pay me. And I was like, okay. And then so they're like, okay. And then so I was like, okay. and then also the Chinley Snow Shack had to sponsor the event, right? And all he wanted to do is like, how about, but he was saying, how about you guys get rid of the distribution thingy, which is like we had to pay for our trash to be put into the trash bins, like the big old trash bins that are everywhere here in town. Like we had to pay to have, we had to go to the chapter house, buy a ticket in order to go to the landfills in order to put our trash in the landfill thingy, or we can burn it. But like that's the way trash goes on the reservation. So, but we had to pay a toll to get rid of our trash. And so he's like, how about you guys pay the toll? We put on an event, and of all the trash that's put in, you take care of the toll to get rid of the trash. But here, so check it. They ended up not paying the toll. They ended up not. They're like, can't you just get rid of it? So we had to get rid of the trash anyway. So we just burnt it. They gave us trash bags though. That's it. And the Snow Shack said okay. And he's like, maybe we can provide trash bags too. And I was like, okay. And then so that was the deal, or whatever, about the cleaning event. And then so they're like, okay, we'll get started. And so he kind of drew a rough draft. And now through that whole rough draft thing, he pieced together pictures on a computer thingy or whatever to show like how it would basically look like. And then he sent it to me, and I'm like, I approve. And then the dude approved, and then he started getting work there. Now, as he worked, I insisted that he wore my vest, the PCP hazardous vest, and I wore it too. But I would show up every single day for an hour, and I would insist that he'd work, that we'd meditate together for at least 10 minutes. Now, I'd ask him if he needed any help, but he's like, no, he pretty much got it, and I was just felt like in the way, so. And then there he would like talk. We would talk, and we would just not really talk too much. Not too much. I would just be like, oh, okay, yeah. And I just kind of dance around after meditating. And anyway, people would say hi to me. And I'd be like, hi. And then he'd look at me like all suspicious, like suspecting and jealousy, like what's going on here? And then I was like, shit, I'm here, and I'm just like, what? I live here. I'm the Dabba girl. What the fuck? And it was like, all I did was try to enforce that he meditate with me each time for 10 minutes, and that he wore the PCP hazard vest. It looks like that. Because I saw that thing in the back. When he stared at me suspiciously for eyes and how many people were saying hello, I was like, what? I'm Dabba girl. I live here. Jealousy. Red flag. Anyway, so when I started coming over, he started demanding all the materials of my business plan and stuff like that I had. And I gave him my personal business plan as well as a professional one that I had written up. And used some website, to have someone write a business plan for you. I gave him that one and that one. That one had the NDA in there. And then he claimed that he wanted to make a sales pitch script. And here he was using it all over the place. He was hardly drawing. He kept talking to all these people. He was actually gathering numbers and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm waiting. And I was just like, now when I say I'm waiting, I was waiting for the script that he said he was going to write and for me to practice, which is why I was giving him all my business stuff. But he never did give me one. He seemed to have one, though, without sharing it with me. But I was telling him everything about the Positive Community Project, all my passions. Like I was like getting confused myself because I was like, Adrian, I don't know how many more ways I can explain it to you. I can explain it to every single way I could think of. He's like, no, I still need more. And I was like, what more do you need? Anyway, so he was just gaining information about all my passion about this thing. I now realized that he was doing that in order to study the way that I was saying it, to make it look like he has such a passion for it, to get every kind of way to say it so he can look like it. I didn't realize that then. Then He demanded username and passwords for website creation, social media platforms, if we partners. And I don't really get the business world. Like, we never did shake, do a pinky swear, spit in each other's hand, or anything to seal the deal. However, someone tell me what happens when you do partner with someone, because it sucks. Agreeing with something and then not really knowing if you're really down with it. And then oh yeah, I found out that his auntie was the manager of the damn snow shack. And she's like, "What's going on here?" And I was like, "He's also said." He also said I should have been a lot further than this. And I was like, "Hey man, I was wishing for a partner to do projects with, so the content wouldn't be just me. Let's build up content first." That's what I was saying. And then he was like, "You should be a lot further than this." I was like, "Man, fuck you, man." And then I was like, "You know what? Platforms cost money, and like I'm trying to start this thing, and it was frustrating for me. That's why I was wishing for somebody." And all of a sudden, he came in and like, ugh. And then also I was like happy that I asked Spirit for help, and here he came. And I was hoping that we'd work together, get to know each other, have a few fun times, and have enough content in order to piece together like collage. To me, that's how you make a website. But and I was just like, let's just work together for a while, dang. Because so far, dude's just seeming bossy and mean. And a takeover. I don't mind ambition, but here's where I'm starting to tap in on how it's shady. Here, let's see. But that was the biggest red flag because he said, "Don't worry about the content. My family will help us stage it." What? Why? Let's just work together. What's the rush? Is what I said. But yeah, he said, "My family will stage it." I'm like, really? That's shifty. And then so I was talking to my cousin, and then she's like, "Well, stop asking me about his character." And I would ask her about his character because she said that in high school she used to hang out with him, and she actually expressed that like he's one of the laziest people he's ever known. She's ever known, and she knows how to work hard. She knows I work hard. So for her saying that to me is like a big like, what? Really? He seems to be working good. It was like, yeah, maybe that's what he wants to seem like. But I was like, so I kept asking her like, what house is he like? What house is he like? And then she's like, "Well, stop asking me about his character. If you don't trust him, don't trust him." She was right. He was on trial for me then. And then when I started coming over, I was like, all these people would come out of one car and be like, "Oh my God, he's so great, he's so great." Oh. And I'm like, where'd they all come from? They'd all come like there'd be 8 people come out of a truck. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then anyway, his family came out to stage praise for him to counteract his feelings or his anxiety about my popularity or whatever. But I was just like, you guys are staging this. That's when I realized that they do be staging shit. And his family does work with him to stage it. And the way that came out was the last one, the white dude, he was pretty drunk, or he was buzzed out, and then he's like, "He's real special." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty special too." And then he's like, "Well, maybe we're all just special." Yeah, maybe we are. Like he said, like trying to want to come at me and fight me or whatever. And I was like, what the hell? And then that's also when I saw the shooters in his bag, or he offered me a shooter, and then I was like, okay, and I wasn't sure about that, but I wasn't paying him, so I couldn't really say anything. Now, if I had been paying him, I'd be like, "Hey, you're not supposed to be drinking while doing this. If you want to earn the money, like, you need to stop right now. I'm not going to pay you today since you're drinking at the same time. You're not supposed to be drinking here." But I had no pay to pay him. I wasn't paying him. He was doing it off his own free will, so I couldn't really say anything. But he did have a whole bunch of shooters. It's like, what the fuck? And I didn't really piece together that thing until later on. Like, however, that is what I saw with my own factual eye. And I'm saying that to say, like, because to me, he's told a whole bunch of lies after this. He told a whole bunch of lies, and I never got a donation afterwards. No one's ever really came up to me to talk about working with me, and I've just been kind of ignored as the chapter house and other things are working together to do things I talk about, but no one's inviting me, and I'm just being like ignored. Otherwise, he knows me about as much as anybody else knows me, or whatever, and I'm telling you about all the interactions we've ever had. I'm talking till this point ever. Where does it say positive community project? This is like when it's about to be done. And I was like, where does it say a positive community project question? And then and then I was like, where does it say Positive Community Project? And then he's like, nowhere. And I was like, well, you need to put it on there, put the emblem on there, which I'll put up a picture of the emblem. And he refused to do that. So that was the last straw. This was the final flag. I said, I don't think I want to be a partner with you. He was like, what? But all my effort, my free effort. I'm like, that's what you said that you'll do, and big whoop. That's all I do. It's not like anyone pays me to do anything that I'm doing. So it's like big whoop. And then he threw my vest in my face. Then I made him sign the NDA, and that's what I'll show you right now. So if you work with him and my ideas, I might be able to say something about that. We part ways. He calls one last time to ask for the compensation for the supplies. Like, why? They're donated, you said. And plus, you're doing that Snow Shack pay for your supplies if they like it, mural, and they did like it. Well, why haven't they donated the money to pay you? And then I was like, I'm not going to pay you anything until they give me the money. All right? I'll give you that once they donate the money, but not until then. Then he hung up on me. And that was practically it business-wise. Otherwise, we're kind of polite. And that's only if I have to. Otherwise, I don't like this dude. I've seen him for who he really is. And the truth is that there's nothing to do in Chinley but drink alcohol and do drugs. And I believe he was at his grandma's house just taking care of his grandma and drinking. And I got him out of the house and helping me. And it got him to have ambition. And it even got Ochi to get up and go out to have ambition. And this is what I offer as me. An activity time for people to get to know themselves and get to know what they're like and through adding positivity to the town or to adding to community. Let us make the community better while you're at work and let them get healing. Positive Community Project. Contact me.